Hi, this is Heminder Ahluwalia, CEO of Minervien Consulting. As part of the 10x TD Global CXO program, I have the privilege of interviewing Robin Jose. Robin is currently the co-founder and CPTO of TAIWA, a premier AI-powered human transformation platform for businesses. Robin has deep expertise in tech products, data, and AI. He has been CTO, CPO, entrepreneur, angel investor, writer, and speaker. He's passionate about the potential of technology, especially AI, to disrupt the business models. He has held senior leadership positions in Fortune 100 companies like Cisco, Siemens, and EMC. He has held CXO roles in unicorn scale-ups like VFox. He has built and sold startups and built products and platforms that accelerated the digital transformation of various industries using AI. And to top it all, he's also received the CDO of the Year award by European Union Digital Masters Awards 2022. So with that, welcome Robin, asking you my first question, which is, let's set an anchor to start the discussion with. So we are in a brand new year. What would be the most exciting thing in 2025 from your perspective?
Thank you, Heminder. Thank you for having me. And that was a very nice intro. And to come to your question, yes, I think I'm incredibly excited about 2025. And I tell you why. Because I feel it's going to be the year of agentic AI. So I think about it this way. Remember when we had our first smartphones, the moment when we realized it's not just phones anymore that we use to call people, right? It's something much bigger than that. I think we are at that tipping point with AI. These aren't just chatbots anymore. They're becoming like strategic partners who can actually think ahead and take decisions. So you all know the joke about having a clone to help you with the workload, right? So I've been saying that a lot. And in 2025, we are getting pretty close to it. Having an AI colleague who not only understands my industry, what I want to do, but can actually get me through a crisis if I need it. So we are thinking of things like vertical agents, which are specialists for specific domains who understand your industry inside out, whether it's finance, healthcare, law, or anything like that. We're also thinking about terms like multi-agent systems, where instead of one single AI doing the work, we see a networks of agents collaborating. So 2025 is when AI stop being just a tool and actually start being a team member.
It's a huge field. I want to focus on a specific item under AI, which is AI agents, right? Agentic AI. So what exactly is an AI agent, and how does it go beyond tools like ChatGPT or Midjourney?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. At the risk of oversimplifying this, I think of AI agents as LLMs plus memory plus tools, right? But here's the key difference, right? They don't just assist, they act. So I think I can probably break it down with a simple example. Imagine having two assistants. Let's call the first one Jane. Now, Jane is really good at conversation and she can write beautiful emails when you ask her to. That's ChatGPT, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say then you have Bob. Bob not only writes those emails, but he remembers your preferences, proactively check your calendar, reschedules meetings or schedules meetings as needed, reads your emails, send responses. Now, that's an AI agent. So that's a difference, right? So between a tool like ChatGPT and an AI agent. In fact, last week, OpenAI showed something that's really cool. Operator, which is an agent from them that can actually order pizza for you or order groceries. It takes about 30 minutes with the operator, where I can probably order and get one in under 30 minutes myself. But it's just an example, right? And it's only going to get better from there. If you go a little deeper in terms of what it actually means is, between a tool like ChatGPT and a tool like an agent, there's three things. Number one is autonomy and proactivity. ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever LLM that you can think about waits for your input. Agents don't. They observe, they initiate actions, and they even predict what you need before you ask. That's number one. Number two is memory and continuity. If you take a tool like Midjourney, right, it forgets about everything that you ask to create in terms of images after, like, let's say, after the next day. Agents remember. They keep track of the past interactions. They know your preferences and your context. I like my coffee black with no sugar. So my AI assistant doesn't need to keep asking me if I prefer hot milk or regular milk in my coffee. And the third one is that it's goal-driven. ChatGPT is there to answer your questions. Midjourney is there to create an image. AI agents are responsible for completing tasks or to achieve a goal, whether that's handling your emails, whether it's running customer support or managing supply chains. These agents are not responding to your questions. They're delivering results. And that's the key differentiation between this. Tools like ChatGPT are also going in that direction because this is where OpenAI wants to go, right? We talked about Operator. They released that last week where you can just ask it to go order groceries or order pizza or something like that. That's ChatGPT go in the direction of being an agent. And this week, just 2 days back, they released Deep Research, where you can just go and ask ChatGPT to go through the internet and create a report for you based on whatever you want to ask, and create a very nice report for you in just 30 minutes. That's a direction where ChatGPT is also going in the agentic way.
Very interesting. So, Robin, how would you go about creating an AI agent? I mean, what sort of training data and how does it all, come into fruition?
The good news is that there's a lot of frameworks that are available currently, right? So you can think about something like small agents. OpenAI itself has announced something like Swarm, although that's quite small. Microsoft has one. There's a lot of open source solutions where you already have a framework of building the agents. So that makes things very easy if somebody wants to build it. And for example, HubSpot co-founder and CTO, so he has created agents.ai. So this is a no-code platform where you can just come in, you can register as a builder, and you can build your own agents, not even writing a single line of code, right? It's just drag and drop and creating solutions. So the good part is that there's a lot of work that's being done in terms of building these agents. And a lot of that is open source where you don't even have to pay anything. You can just get started. And you can even do it without much technical knowledge as well.
There is a good amount of choice to choose from, right? So that's
Absolutely.
the other plus thing. Now let's shift gears to talk about the impact of agentic AI, right? So how will AI agents transform industries like healthcare, finance, or creative arts by 2025?
Yeah, I think that's where it's really exciting. So let me paint a picture of what might sound like science fiction, but it's, from my perspective, just right around the corner. So let's start with healthcare, for example. Imagine how frustrating it is when you have to go to multiple doctors and you have to repeat your medical history to each and every different doctor, right? So with an AI agent, you could have something like a super intelligent medical coordinator. It can instantly pull up all your medical history, analyze your latest test results, and help the doctors make better decisions. But it doesn't stop there. The cool part is that it can even monitor your health through systems like your smartwatch, right? And alert your doctor before even you know something's wrong. So that's something that it can be done in terms of healthcare. And there's many other examples I can think of. Personalized medicine is a great example. Not every medicine works on every people, right? There is differences in terms of genetic code and many other things. So what works for a certain ethnicity may not work for another person, and so on. So personalized medicine is a big thing. But let's move to finance. And I guess the most relatable thing that I can think about is those fraud alert texts that you get from the bank, right? So did you do this transaction or something like that? In 2025, agents could actually be not just sending those texts, but could be your financial guardian angels. They're not just flagging suspicious activities, they're actually preventing fraud before it actually happens. Also, same for your personal finances. Imagine having a financial advisor, and I just talked about the research, right? That OpenAI research assistant with deep research, or Google also has something similar. A financial advisor who you could say that what are the best 10 stocks that I could invest in this particular domain or this particular sector, and it just comes back, does all those analysis and comes back to you, right? So it's like having a financial advisor who never sleeps, never goes on vacation, and remembers every single detail. That's the finance side. And but my favorite is still creative side of things, right? So there's been queries or concerns that AI might replace artists. But I think it's turning out to be something completely different. AI agents are becoming active collaborators for creative people. I think of them as ultimate brainstorming partner who can help you explore new ideas, like whether it's a video or an image or something different. You try various stuff and then you finally come to something that you really, really like. So they are great collaborators for artists. So it's really fascinating how it's shaping up different industries. And we're not just talking about existing processes, right? Let's make existing processes faster or better. They're actually reinventing how entire industries work from the ground.
Right. You mentioned about artists and concerns that some people have. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about AI agents, and how would you address them?
The first one is that AI agents are just fancy chatbots. I guess we talked about it already, right? So chatbots are like a little bit like receptionists, maybe. AI agents are like full-on executive assistants. They can handle tasks, they can make decisions, they can even take actions without waiting for your input. That's the first one, but we talked about it. While AI agents can act independently, they still need human oversight, especially for complex, high-stakes decisions. So I think of them as interns. They are really smart, but you wouldn't let them run the company on day one, right? So in healthcare, we talked about it. An AI agent might actually analyze symptoms and suggest treatments, but a doctor still makes a final call. In finance, we talked about a financial advisor who can suggest various investment scenarios for you, but you might still want to have a human investigator review the critical cases before an action is taken. And the last AI misconception that people have is that AI agents are 100% accurate. Because it's AI, because it is a computer, we assume that it doesn't make mistakes. If only. AI agents are incredibly powerful, but they can still get things wrong. And we know about hallucinations that happens, right? The more complex the task, the higher the risk of errors. We will probably spend a little bit more time on this maybe later, but it's important that whenever there are high priority or high risk decisions that needs to be taken, those needs to be double checked, because AI at this point of time can still make mistakes. They can still hallucinate. So yes, it is not 100% accurate, and they do make mistakes.
And it depends a lot on the way it is trained also, right? After all, at the end of the day, it's a set of algorithms working together. So, I mean, the training data that is provided to it, doesn't it depend on that as well?
It does. I mean, a large part of hallucination, you're absolutely right. It depends on the data that's given. And in fact, this was the first problem with hallucination that happened when ChatGPT came, right, and people realized there are hallucinations. The problem is that the data is trained from internet without overly qualifying the data or making sure that data is of great quality, because you can get all kind of data in internet, including hoax theories, absolutely wrong data, and so on and so forth. And what happens is that really confuses the AI model. They don't know which one is right. So there's, for example, there's some information in Wikipedia and there's something on a personal blog, right? An easier way to think about it is that whatever is in the Wikipedia is more accurate as compared to a personal blog, right? And then comes Forbes versus Wikipedia as an example. And then you would assume that Forbes is probably more accurate, and so on. So these are some of the way that they use in terms of qualifying the data, but that's just one part of it. The other part, and this is even more relevant in the case of agents, because agent is not just taking one call, it's taking multiple calls, right? So to get a task done, we'll talk a little bit about the task planning. It actually probably might have to take 10 steps or 11 steps. Now think about an AI that's about 95% accurate. So it's a bit like, I guess we have this game that we played as children. I don't know what it's called. It has different names like Chinese Whisper or Telephone. There are different names, but people sit around in a circle, and then you start whispering to somebody's ear about some topic, and then by the time it just reaches the 12th person,
something different altogether.
Completely different thing, right? And that's because of a simple mathematical thing. Let's assume that AI does this with 95% accuracy, right? And if it does 5 steps with 95% accuracy, the accuracy at the end of those 5 steps is a simple probabilistic equation, right? That's 90.95 raised to 5. That's around, I guess, 77% or something like that. So it's already dropping substantially. By the time it reaches 12 tasks, it actually drops down to nearly 50%. That's like the toss of a coin. So the problem here is that 95% accuracy, which is actually really good, is not good enough when it comes to 10 steps or a 12 steps process. So you need to go into, there are solutions obviously to overcome that, but you need to go into that mode where you create highly specialized agents where you have, for each and every step, more than 95% accuracy.
Fantastic, amazing. Let's switch gears to talk about technical and ethical considerations. So my question to you is, what are the biggest technical challenges in developing AI agents, and how close are we to solving them?
We already talked about the error rate. So this is an important challenge. The possibility of solving them is really in terms of making highly domain-specific agents which have significantly higher accuracy. A lot can be done with tools, as an example. A good example, a very simplified example, but a good example is AI letting an LLM do the math, right? It can do it, but it won't be very accurate. But give it to a calculator, it's accurate 99.99% of the time, right? Maybe 100% of the time. So that's a good example. It's a tool. It's a tool usage, right? So other way to use that, think about that, is in terms of I want to write something to the database or the CRM system, right? I just use a tool to pull data from the CRM, which is calling an API, and that works 100% of the time, or at least has 6 nines of SLA or something like that. So that's one way to solve that problem. The second problem is in terms of planning and reasoning. So remember we said an AI agent actually creates a plan, and there's a short-term plan and then there's a long-term plan sometimes. AI is really good for now, right? It could change in the future. For now, it's really good at short-term problem solving. It really excels at it. But long-term problem solving that spans over months is still a problem. So an example is a project manager who's like, if AI is coming as a project manager, it might do the first few weeks really, really well, but it does get confused when handling a year-long strategy, especially when there are changes in that strategy. And this is what sometimes what people are working on. And lastly, there's a problem with tool integration. Now, tools are great. It actually gives AI superpowers, and we talked about why it's important to increase the accuracy and so on. But there's also a problem with too many tools. So, for example, let's assume that an AI has access to 100 different tools, right? Some of them will be very similar in nature, so it becomes harder for AI to choose the right one. For example, if an AI has 50 debugging tools, right? Or if it's asking a question, it's saying that, look, you have 5 search tools to search the internet, and it doesn't know which is the most accurate tool. It might use DuckDuckGo as opposed to Google. I'm not saying which one is better, but it may not be what we want. Yeah. And that could be a problem. So to do this, there has to be a better description of which tool has to be used where. And this is currently, the tools proliferation is actually a problem. However, what I really think about this is that there's going to be a massive improvement here in 2025, especially in terms of multi-agent collaboration, error correction, and real-world adaptability.
All right. Ethics is a huge topic, Robin, in AI. How do we ensure that AI agents act responsibly and align with human values?
Yep. I think that's probably the most crucial question that we need to address in this whole AI, agentic AI ecosystem. Because creating powerful agents without proper ethical guardrails would be like giving a teenager a sports car without, telling them about defensive driving or, being road safety or anything like that. I think about this in terms of 3 lines of defense. The first line of defense for me is technical safeguard. It needs guardrails, not just intelligence. So just like we won't let self-driving cars on the road without properly testing them, we also need to build safeguards for AI agents. There are many things that we could do. A few things that, for example, we built in our AI agents is like things like intent classifiers. So intent classifier is somewhere an AI automatically rejects requests which are out of the scope or harmful. So if there's a medical agent and then you come and ask, ask questions about where should I invest, the agent would say, no, that's not my domain, right? Or withdraw money from the bank, it automatically says, I don't want to do this. Defensive prompts are another approach. It prevents AI from being manipulated. So classic phishing scams or misinformation or something like that. So the prompts have to be written in a very defensive way. And then there has to be guardrails and access control. So guardrails is like a little bit like if you have a customer support bot and for example, your customer comes and asks a politically motivated question, you'd say, that's outside my guardrails. I'm not responding to that. Final piece that you have is like identity and access management. So agents are very powerful, but agents are also a bit like your employees. You don't want them to access data that you don't normally want an employee to access or a customer support person to access. So there's no reason why you want to give out the latest revenue numbers to the AI agents or internal confidential data about customer support handling strategy or anything like that. So when customer comes and asks about some internally confidential information, the agent should not accidentally give out this information. So there has to be an IAM side of things. So that's one part, right? That's technical guardrails. We talked a little bit about human oversight. That's a big other part of ethical AI and ethical AI usage. AI also needs a human boss. AI can be autonomous, but that doesn't mean that they should be left unchecked, especially in high-stakes scenarios. So there has to be HITL, human in the loop. There should be, especially for risky decisions, there has to be humans which take the final call. There could be oversight layers, right? There could be systems which flag AI behavior before it escalates and becomes really, really bad, like Skynet is taking over the world or something like that.
Yeah.
And there has to be a review and approval process if such a scenario happens. There also has to be feedback loops. An AI agent should learn from human corrections. So whenever it's making a mistake, there has to be a way that it understands, and this decision is wrong. It has to understand that this is wrong, just like how humans learn and why it's wrong, so that it can actually stop doing that. And finally, the last part is that there is something called as an AI drift. An AI drift happens when you build a system, and the system is powerful, it's good, but for some reason, the performance of the system slightly degrades over time. Happens to humans too, right? Yeah. We might be fit, we might be running that half marathon today, but 2 months later we might be unfit and we might be gorging on that pizza or whatever. But it happens to AI, and that's partly because external systems change. If it's a system that detects fraud, hackers become smarter. If it's a system that that does audits or something like that, people figure out, or like whoever wants to do something wrong figures out what it checks, and it just tries to figure out ways to circumvent that and so on. So there has to be a way where we can continuously monitor the performance of the system and prevent this AI drift. So those are the three things. So the technical safeguards like guardrails and so on, having a human in the loop, having human oversight, and lastly, number 3, to check and prevent AI drift from happening.
I think the most important takeaway is that a human will always be involved, right? So, and especially if it is high stakes decision, then definitely some human oversight needs to be there. So that's
absolutely for all high stake decisions, humans are directly involved. For others, they don't need to be decision makers. AI can take the decisions, but somebody is checking these decisions, right? And the impact of this in the background. And if a drift or something like that happens, then they can make up the corrective steps. Absolutely correct. You're right.
All right, the future of agentic AI. So by 2025, what do you think will be the most surprising or groundbreaking use case for AI agents in 2025?
I see I see a few things, right? So first one is already mentioned by many. I guess Satya Nadella talked quite a bit about it in the last few weeks. Mark Benioff from Salesforce, he also talked about it, and that's a rise of digital labor. So AI agents, not just as agents or like a piece of software, but really as your virtual colleague. So digital labor
Yeah.
sounds like it's coming from a sci-fi movie or something like that. But my feeling is that a lot of us will actually be managing teams of AI agents like how we manage human teams today. So all humans basically will be managers of AI agents, and you will be hiring an AI agent just like how you would hire an employee. The people will be managing the tasks, the AI will be they'll be doing the task, and so on. So that's one part where I can already see some parts of this happening right now, not necessarily need to wait till end of the year. So AI SDR is a classic case, right? The sales AI SDRs are already there. You can currently purchase them. There's a colleague who's sitting and doing all this work for you, an AI colleague. I expect something similar to happen in HR. I expect something similar to happen in finance. And in terms of customer service, this is already there, right? So this is what Salesforce has done. They already implemented this in Agentforce V2 for their own customer support, and they have done that with remarkable success. Mark Benioff has gone on records by saying the number of customer support cases that humans used to handle has dropped from 10,000 per month to 5,000. So that's like a 50% decrease in terms of the customer support. So that's one part, one big thing, right? So the rise of digital labor. The second part is that agentic AI will start replacing traditional software. Satya Nadella specifically said this, where he said SaaS will be replaced with AI agents. And there was a huge uproar. But look, software is always changing, right? So I mean, we both, I guess, have been with the IT industry for a while now. We have seen how it started with mainframes, right? From mainframes, it went to client server. From client server, it came to cloud systems, and now we have SaaS. And it's not going to stop there, right? So it's not going to stop us.
Something more is going to happen
to the next level.
Future,
the change is going to happen, and AI agents will be in many ways replacing a lot of the work that's done by traditional SaaS software. The only key difference is, at this point of time, we all have many SaaS subscriptions. Just for AI, for example, I have 4 SaaS subscriptions. I have ChatGPT, I have Claude, I have Gemini, and I have Ideogram. And part of that is because I'm financially irresponsible. But the point is that we have a lot of subscriptions. And at some point of time, what I would think is that instead of using those 10 or 50 different SaaS subscriptions that we have, there's a few AI agents which handles tasks across all those platforms. And that can be significant both for people in terms of convenience, because you don't have to log into 10, 20 different sites.
Something like a super AI agent or something, Or
something like
Uber,
exactly.
Uber
something
AI
like
agent,
Yeah. And finally, I think the last piece that I would think about is that AI also could be digital companions, more than just tools, right? So it knows your skills, it manages your resumes, it tracks your learning, and it even represents you professionally. So you will actually have an army of AI agents, and that could actually go on your resume. It could actually be adding some value to your resume.
Fantastic. Look, this is such an interesting topic. We could keep talking for hours and hours and hours. Unfortunately, we have to wind up. So I'm going to ask you a final question to close the interview. If you could give one piece of advice to someone looking to understand or work with AI agents, what would that be?
I'll give you 3 pieces of advice.
Okay, sure.
You get buy one, get 2 free.
Sure.
Number one, focus on the why, right? Don't build AI just because it's cool. Before jumping into AI agents, really ask yourself, what's the problem that I'm solving? AI isn't magic. It's a tool. You start with the right problem, you'll find the right AI solution. Number 2 is to keep it simple. The complexity will come later. The biggest mistake is over-engineering AI agents from the start. So you start with a small composable solution, and you can scale when necessary. So build a single purpose AI agent that handles one task really well. And that's going to be far better than creating an overloaded complex agent that probably fails at a few things, right? So we talked about error rates and so on and so forth. The last one is in terms of control. AI agent needs limit. AI agents should only access the data, tools, and skills that they need. The more tools means more complexity, more risk, and slower performance. So if an AI agent needs more than 5 tools, really think about, is it important to have this, or should I split it into multiple agents so that I can handle it better? I can do this divide and conquer piece. So, but if I had to just summarize everything into one piece of advice, and the single absolutely important thing, it would be, don't be afraid to start. The future belongs to those who can understand how to work with these technologies, not those who are waiting on the sidelines. Every expert was once a beginner. The key is to stay curious, stay practical, and most importantly, stay human in terms of how we approach this technology.
Fantastic. You're a true AI visionary, I must say. And thank you so much, Robin. I think this has been a very insightful and very informative session. I'm sure our listeners will have they'll have some great takeaways from it. And thank you so much for your time. And wonderful. And may the force be with AI. That's what I'll say, by concluding. So thank you once again. Thanks.
Thank you for having me, Heminder. It was
Thank you,
a
Robin.
pleasure.
Pleasure, same here.
Bye.